patience.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Welcome to another episode of Video Store Rejects. This is a podcast where we discuss directors' filmographies and our favorite film franchises. I am your host, Cody House. And with me today, we have a new guest. His name is James Enlow. Your wife, Margaret's been on the show a couple of times. Thanks for coming on, James.
Oh, thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. So, today we are discussing the films of the Coen brothers, and the film in talk today is The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. So, before we get into it, are you a fan of the Coen brothers, James, as
Yeah,
directors?
yes. Ever since I think Barton Fink, or what's the one? I'm trying to remember. It's like a noir. It's got Gabriel Byrne in it. I don't remember the
Miller's
name.
Crossing.
Miller's Crossing. Yeah, yeah. Miller's Crossing was amazing. I mean, I saw it when I was in college. When I was
Oh,
an
wow.
undergrad, yeah. And I've been a fan ever since. I think I saw Barton Fink when I was in college, and then I went to graduate school, and then I watched "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" And I was like, wow. So anyway, yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. Anyway, and I thought, by the way, Ballad of Buster Scruggs was really true to their form. It was brilliant. I mean, I'm still reeling from like, well, what does it mean? Things like that. Anyway,
Okay, so you've been a fan for a long time. Kind of they had
yeah.
a couple of films under their belt, but you kind of came into their radar when they were like getting anointed as like these great auteurs that people need to see whatever they're doing. So what specifically about this movie do you like, or what draws you
I
to it?
always I had a I have a novel called Firebrand Vision, and it's kind of written like this. And when it first came out, I went to my bookshelf and I kind of flipped through it, like looking at it, and it has like, okay, the book um that is filmed kind of in the beginning. Firebrand
Yeah.
Vision is a lot like that. It has I guess the word's mimeographs or photographs of you know uh artwork, like that. Like it's on the back, it's on the front, it's a hardback, and it's a lot like that. It's like that Western style of you know um Zane Grey or Louis L'Amour, kind of, but it's like that man was walking through the desert, things like that. That's how blunt it is, and when I was watching it, I was like, yep, just like that.
So
I
for you,
also
it's go ahead.
yeah, I also like, all right, when I was in graduate school, um we watched the film Sullivan's Travels, and like
Mm-hmm.
Sullivan's Travels, he wanted to make "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" was the movie he
Right.
wanted to make. Yeah, and I was like, is that the book that that they were trying to make, or some version of that they were trying to make? I don't know. My expertise and knowledge of film has deepened with graduate school, and I kind of understand what the Cohen brothers are trying to do. A little bit.
Right. So you saying that it was like a book you had written, did you feel like they had like crack opened your brain and were like on the same wavelength as you?
I could pause and read the book a little bit, so I kept pausing and reading the book, and then I read the last page, of the other book, of the book that they were filming, and it really was totally in sync with what they were doing. I mean, you know, um, it was kind of an amazing, you know, like when I read Firebrand to Vision, I was like, wow, this is like really like a an old western novel. And so I mean, yeah, I really I really knew what they were trying to do, kind of.
Yeah, and I think the thing that really works with this movie for me is we kind of get like every style of theirs, right? Like there's the zany, quirky comedy in some of them. There's a little bit of that existential, nihilistic, like you're not sure things aren't going well. And
Well, the last part called the Mortal Remains, that is
mhm,
really creepy. I mean, it's almost like those three are on their way to their death. I mean, almost. And
uh,
yeah, I mean, when you said the zany one, um, the one with James Franco where he robs the bank, but he
right,
never he gets in trouble for like things he didn't do. And
exactly.
yeah, Stephen Root was the bank teller, and he was just so
He's
he's the guy. Yeah, go ahead.
He's hilarious. I love him. And he's like, you ever been robbed before? And he's like going through like all these things and like he's fully prepared. He's like, no,
Yeah,
you're not gonna rob me. And then he like puts on all those pans and says pan shot every time he
pan
shoots
shot,
back at you.
pan shot. That I mean that is almost, and I didn't know. I had to go back and look real close, and I didn't know that was Stephen Root, but he was brilliant. God, he was brilliant in Oh Brother Where Art Thou? Like, oh,
Hmm.
we got to beat that competition. So anyway, yeah, I mean he's in my opinion he's a staple of the Coen brothers.
Yeah,
You
he's
know, I
worked with
mean,
them quite a few times. I know he's in Oh Brother. He's even in The Lady Killers. He was in The Tragedy of Macbeth. He's one of the few Cohen regulars in that one. Um, Trying to think, what
and
else is he?
what's the one? Well, he's not in. What's the one with It's got Oscar Isaac in it, and he's like, it's like it's
Oh, Inside
yeah.
Llewellyn Davis.
Yes, he's not in that one, but um, John Goodman is like him. He's
Mm-hmm.
in Inside Llewellyn Davis. He's in Barton Fink. He's in Oh Brother Where Art Thou? He's wow. I think that's one of the great things about the Coen brothers is they really know character, actors, characters that are brilliant, brilliant. Sir.
Yeah, they work with some of the best. And I
Yeah,
think it's because they, like you said, character actors, they find these performers who can capture the character they're performing, and you're not thinking about the celebrity or actor that's in the role. You're like, oh, this is the character. They're in this world. Oh, he's in No Country for Old Men. He gets brutally murdered by Javier Bardem.
yeah, yeah. My God, I mean, yeah, I mean, and also that's one of the things I love. I love that they use these little known actors. They're like bigger than life, um, and part of like part of being watching a Coen Brother film is the fact that who's going to show up, like like even Woody Harrelson shows up, and things like that, and I
Hmm.
just God, love them.
But but yeah, I like the nature of this kind of anthology story and presented in a book because like I was saying, I think it does combine like their all their strengths. So it has the quirky comedy. It has that dark, nihilistic, existential kind of open ending where we don't really get closure. And then it just has their cruel
Yeah.
world that they put some of these characters in. Like the world's chaos. And like you're talking about the James Franco one. I mean, that's just their rules of karma. Like he tried to rob the bank, and even though he didn't,
Yeah.
steal those cows, he got in trouble for it because he did something bad already.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. When you said that about the characters, Brendan Gleeson, he's a thumper. He says, "What do you do?" And he says, "Well, first they say in a very Shakespearean style, we are Grim Reapers, and then they say Brendan Gleeson says, 'Well, I'm a thumper. I walk up behind him and thump.'" you know. Um, there's a oh god, it's just like I mean, especially with the fact that Tom Waits is in that one, and that one's called Old Gold Canyon, and I mean, I've never been so attracted to the fact that it's just Tom Waits talking to himself most of the time, you know, just like, pass
Yeah.
right through.
My
uh,
favorite part in
you know,
that is when he's stealing the
what
eggs
else?
from the owl,
Oh,
and he's like, well, bird can't count anyway. And if you remember from the previous short with Liam Neeson, where he
mm-hmm,
decides to quit
mm-hmm.
using the actor, the kid, well, he's not a kid, he's a grown man now, but the actor who played Dudley in the Harry Potter movies for the chicken who can do math.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
That
Wow.
was
That
just
that
like
one
a
is.
callback I thought was
Yeah. That one's
funny.
powerful too. Yeah.
Oh
That
yeah,
one is.
yeah. Meal
I
Ticket
mean,
is the darkest, I would say, of the whole
yeah.
of the
Between
film.
Meal Ticket and The Moral Remains are both dark. I mean, really. But
Hmm.
yeah, Meal Ticket is. You're right. Probably the most dark. Um, I mean, even the fact that he puts him down when he goes to the whorehouse, and he like
Hmm.
turns him around, and then
Right.
and then the the lady of the night, the prostitute, says, "Does he want some loving?" And the guy says, "No, well, maybe once, but." And I'm like, I want to know more about that. What happened? So, anyways, oh god, I mean, it just God, it's the fact, he's just he walks over on that bridge, and he throws a rock off, and he doesn't look back much, and then you're like, what he's gonna do, you know.
Hmm.
I mean, and I was reading that one very closely. I was reading the book, and the book said, it opened with he doesn't appear. The book said that he looks out of the caravan, or the carriage, and he looks out the back window, and then it says he walks back. I read exactly. I stopped it about 100 times and read back, and it doesn't show anything. It doesn't say anything. It said he walked back to the carriage, and then it has a paragraph break, and it goes, and then the guy went on, and the the chicken served him for a couple of years is what it says. I was like, oh god. I'm sorry. Oh, that's, yeah, it's just, oh god. I mean, that is the most interesting, because like Liam Neeson has like 5 lines that, no, maybe once. That's about it. God.
Yeah, he's clearly acting off of body language and emotion. And
Yeah.
Harry Harry Melling, I believe is his name. You know, he's reciting all these Shakespearean and Greek tragedies and things from classic literature.
Ozymandias, yeah, uh, Midsummer Night's Dream. He's the Gettysburg Address, or quotes the Gettysburg Address, and then oh God, just he has the most lines. It's almost like he's like, I don't know. It's just God, pretty damn good acting. um, I mean, if you ever you have like an A-list Hollywood star there. He like I said, he has like 5 lines. My God, I'd forgotten about that almost a little bit. I'd forgotten about how much Liam Neeson, doesn't talk, in that, and I'm just like, wow. It's like I haven't seen this in a million years almost, and it's so brilliant.
Yeah, it's really interesting to put an actor of his caliber and then like we don't want to use you really for acting, even though he's still acting, but like typically what you would think is like, yeah, we need you to, play second part. It's you and this guy, but really he's doing a whole different style of acting, like than what he normally would do. I mean, it's partly what he does, but like everyone thinks of Liam Neeson as a big respected actor, even before he became an action star. And here it's just like
Yeah,
it's just raw emotion and his body language.
I remember. I remember Liam Neeson. One of the times I saw him was he was in Excalibur. You know, he
Yeah,
plays
that's one of
Gwen
his
in
one of his
Excalibur.
earliest movies.
Yeah, and he was also in Crawl. And
Oh wow.
he he was only on stage for like, on screen for like about maybe 5 shots. He steals the show for 5 shots. I was like,
Dang.
that's Liam Neeson. But anyway, yeah, it's amazing. Let me see. Except for let's see. What is the one that I just saw? He doesn't talk much, and of course Tom Waits doesn't talk much. But Tom Waits, that's Tom Waits' thing. Just being
Yeah.
old and grizzled, and James Franco doesn't talk much. Let me see. Brendan Gleeson doesn't talk.
Mm-mm.
What's the one we just saw? Oh yeah, the girl who got rattled.
Yeah,
That was
the
pretty good.
guy, which the guy playing Billy, even though he talks, it's like he's a man of few words, all right? Gets right down to the point.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you have
Even
Mr.
more so than
Arthur.
yeah, Arthur, and he wasn't sure what he made of Billy. Greg. I'm trying to remember, but yeah, he he doesn't say much at all.
No, until we
I don't
get to
know.
that
It's really.
horrifying. But that is
Yeah,
probably my
poor girl.
favorite one.
Shouldn't
The
happen to her.
girl who got rattled is probably my
Yeah,
favorite one of the collection.
yeah. It's amazing because the the mimeograph, or the photo, that I'm sorry, the painting, it's like it's right there. And I went backwards. I have Netflix, so I went backwards, and they did a really good job. The dog even looks up like the dog in the picture. It looks just like that. The guy climbing the tree in All Gold Canyon, I don't know. He's a little thinner than Tom Waits, but um, yeah, that looks just like the picture, the painting. Yeah, I was. There really is an incredible. after watching Oh Brother, that really kind of amazing cinematography, and it looks just like the picture. It looks just like the drawing,
Yeah, they
They're
did an
amazing. They're
incredible
really
job.
I remember when that came out too. It came out on Netflix. I mean, I guess it's pre-pandemic, right there, pre-pandemic, and I think that mean that they can still produce quality even if it's just streaming or something like that. But there's been a crap in the pandemic that has been okay, but that really was special, really amazing.
Yeah, and you bring up an interesting thing because this was the first, because Tragedy of Macbeth went to streaming on Apple. This is kind of the first movie they did, and it went
Yeah.
straight to streaming. And people thought this was going to be a TV show when it was announced because of that, and because it was like being broken up into these 6 different stories, even though the Coens said they always planned it to be a film and like be all connected. And they basically threw it up to just the nature of where the film industry is now. Is they're like, no one wanted to finance this movie to put it in theaters, so Netflix gave us the money and the budget to do what we wanted. And so much so that Carter Burwell, who did the score, like had some of the most musicians to film. I think they scored it in London to get the score for the film.
Brilliant. It's just it's an amazing piece of. I don't know. I mean, it makes there's uh we had, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of old school in that. I love these vast sweeping epics, and this it's a real gem. It's a real incredible piece of work that I don't think many people liked it. I know my mother was watching it with me, and she said, "What's that?" And I was like, but no, I don't know. It was it's really special, and the fact that I don't know, maybe my mom has never really understood art or anything. My father, he loved movies. He loved it, and you know he was the first to say, "Oh, Miller's Crossing is brilliant." And then Barton Flake, it's weird. I mean, it's even with the guy that you know Barton, the guy that was killed, is supposed to be Faulkner. Honey, where's my honey? But there's I think I mean we've reached a point where they're kind of dumbing down entertainment. I mean I don't know if you've seen. I've seen a lot.
It looks like he froze on me. Let me see if I can get him. Gonna see if maybe he's not frozen in here. Nope, I guess it was him on his end. Let's see if I can try and get back in. But yeah, my favorite of these is The Girl That Got Rattled with Zoe Kazan. I think it's a really sweet, really touching story. And it just kind of shows how cruel the Wild West can be with what happens with her. First, her brother dies, and then at the end, her and Mr. Arthur getting caught in that group of natives attacking. And, she gets stuck with President Pierce the dog, and, everyone's complaining about President Pierce. And yeah, it's just a really sweet and touching story, and it's a cute. Yeah, I
Wow.
think
Okay.
you froze up on me. Sorry about that.
Well, I've been doing a lot of talking. I should let you talk more.
Um, I lost you, so I'm not 100% sure what you were going with, but I think what you were talking about is like movies kind of being dumbed down for audiences today, and then feeling more like a product and a commercial than like a a voice or a vision from a filmmaker such as the Coen brothers here. And part of that's, what makes money at the box office and what people want to go sit in the theater and watch. And sadly, a lot of times it's not a movie like this. Because we're still having technical difficulties.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. I agree. 100%. I agree. I think that there's a problem, I guess with people. I don't know. Maybe the golden age passed. I don't know. Maybe it died with the pandemic. I don't know.
Maybe. And yeah, this came out like a year and a half or maybe because it came out in
Right
2018,
before.
but yeah, roughly a year and some change before COVID hit the world. But this was a big deal. But yeah, this didn't get a lot. I mean, it was received well from critics. It just didn't get like a lot of the praise that a lot of their other movies tend to get normally. But it was still
I
received
don't know. I
well.
mean,
So, what's your favorite one out of these stories?
well, well, I think it's probably the I think I it's probably the Tom White one because I stopped and I read. I mean, I read every one of them. I stopped. I pressed pause and I read the postscript and then the beginning script, the epilogue. So I mean, I think All Gold Canyon is pretty brilliant. I mean, when I was in an undergraduate, we used weights a lot, and I really think that is really a character-driven piece, and it's so beautiful. I mean, for me, really, I mean, just him talking himself, it's just like music in my ears.
And it's just a
I
highlight
don't.
of how
I don't think that.
talented he is.
Yeah.
I was just
Yeah.
saying it was just
I
a
think all of them
showcase
are.
of how great he is as an actor too, not just a musician and performer.
Yeah. That I love. Him. I mean, because it was written. Owens. I hope by the Cohen because it was as if waited. Me in his old age. Um. I really loved all of them. I mean, The Mortal Remains is kind of puzzling it. So I was like, what does it mean? I love Saul Rubinek. I love Saul Rubinek. And he's playing a fridgeman. Oh, no, don't do that, It is different when they wear loves a woman. It's problems, maybe a lot of problems, but I had a problem with that, because I was like, it's so brilliant. What does it mean? What does it mean? I think in my graduate school career, I've always trying to find out what what
Yeah, I do think they are kind of playing like they're writing to their death, though, right? Because like they mentioned they're reapers, and like the coachman even kind of is dressed like the Grim Reaper, and they're talking about like Time Daly's talking about she hadn't seen her husband in 3 years, and when they get to the
what the meaning is.
yeah.
Did you see over the door? Like the door has like like a picture of a baby, and on the other side, well, I see the other side, it's got a devil. So it's really
Yeah, and
that's the
there's
last thing
that
on the door
bright light,
closes.
and it's a bright light, and when Sal Rubinik's looking around, like it looks like there's nothing else there where they are, right? Just that hotel or tavern they're at. And they're all a little bit hesitant about going in the door.
Yeah. Uh,
So I think it is.
and there's
So I think it is.
like it's great. Even the old trapper, like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's definitely an ending piece. It's definitely a grim reaper, a grim uh it's like and like the it's like Chiron on the river Styx. The guy's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh no, the coachman when that's
Yeah.
the
Looks like James is frozen again. It's gonna ask him a question. See if he can get back with us. But talking about the Mortal Remains kind of being like a good ending piece, I think that the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, which is the title of the film, is kind of a great opening piece to this movie, where you've got Tim Blake Nelson just being delightful and charming and hilarious and singing, and everyone kind of takes him for granted because he's wearing like basically it feels like a take on like those kind of Roy Rogers, Gene Autry type of cowboys, but he's still a ruthless outlaw that can kill you and shoot you without a moment of hesitation. Uh, yeah, you keep freezing
sorry.
up. It's okay. I
I don't
know
know what it
spotty
is.
internet
I
can be an
apologize.
issue sometimes. It's totally fine. It happens. I live in a rural area, so I'm
Okay.
used to it. But I wanted to ask you
Okay.
something since you mentioned you love Sal Rubinek. Have you seen True Romance? Do you like that movie?
Yes. I like. He's in. He's in Hunters, which is on Amazon. He's in. Warehouse 13. He's.
Mm-hmm.
He's really. I mean. Um. I just really think he's brilliant. But anyway, the one people. Oh, I mean, even Clancy Brown. Even Clancy Brown was
Oh,
playing his.
poor Clancy
You
Brown,
see
thinking
him.
he's such a.
You gotta play him.
Oh, did you
Yeah.
know that that hand,
You
which is called the Death Hand, because that's apparently the hand Wild Bill Hickok
it.
had, well, when he was
Oh
killed.
wait, it was aces over eights. Yes, it was. Oh my god. In Men Who Shot Liberty Valance, that was aces over eights. What he had before he was shot. So, yeah.
There you go.
Wow. God, I should have known that. Darn.
And
um.
and I
Yeah.
think they're playing with Once Upon a Time in the West too, with the guy that shows up and eventually outdoes Buster Scruggs because he's playing the harmonica. You know.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And he's all wearing black too, by the way. And I read
Mm-hmm.
the when it said it flips, and the book is there, and the book says that Buster Scruggs met his end by the kid, and then it says the kid met his end in much the same way. That's what it said. I was like, baby, darn, you're really doing any, you're pulling all the stops out. But anyway, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I was looking for him.
but
I thought he looked. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think that's just a perfect opening to get us into the mood of the movie, and it's kind of a nice, different feeling from what we get at the end. But I think Tim Blake Nelson's just very delightful and charming in it.
Absolutely, and he could sing. God, he can sing.
Yeah.
um, I think maybe when people are watching it, maybe there's a lot of singing. I mean, it starts off singing, and then it almost more remains. The Reapers are singing. That
Mm-hmm.
that, and the guy goes, "I'm so sorry." He sings it every time, and I just can't stand it. But yeah, it starts with singing and it ends with singing. Yeah, definitely. And that's a good point about the upon the time in the West. The kid is playing harmonica. Yeah, my
Mm-hmm.
God, good eye.
But I don't know if you heard me, but the reason I like The Girl Who Rattled so much is I just find the story, even though it ends sad, I find it very sweet, and like the romance that kind of blooms between her and the second hand guy, Billy, is really touching. And even the dog, President Pierce, is such a cute little dog.
Yeah,
Even though no one can stand him.
golly. Yeah.
And that just
It
shows you.
reminds me of I mean, I also read. Yeah, I also read comics, and
Hmm.
there's a comic by Garth Ennis, the writer of Preacher. But
Yeah.
it starts off. It's called Children. Yeah, and and there's this yapping little dog, just like the Pierce. And one of the things he does is he just goes right away. He says, "Dog makes too much noise." But anyway, yeah. I mean, it's God. There's a lot of Western, motifs that are used, and it's really, I mean, don't know, you know, hey, I've talked to a bunch of people about it, and they've all said they don't like it, and I was like, sorry, pardon my French.
Hmm.
It's just, I don't know. I mean, go back to my point about the dumbing down of entertainment. Their thing about, you know, I don't know. It's amazing that they're still making such great pieces, and to to some people, like, they don't care. They do not care. I'll let you
Yeah,
talk a little
it
bit.
it is a shame, but I'm glad that the Coen brothers are still making movies. Sadly, this is the last film they've worked together as a duo on. Ethan said he didn't want to make more movies. He's no now it's announced he's planning to direct a film because Joel directed Macbeth without Ethan. If they want to keep making movies together or separate, that's great. But I would like for them, if they want to keep making movies, to do it together.
I hope so, because they're, you know, okay, I'll be honest. I did not see Macbeth, the tragedy of Macbeth. Is it good?
It is pretty darn good. I mean, it is
It
Denzel
is.
Washington and Frances McDormand, so you know. But I mean, it is very much just him adapting the story, but it's shot in black and white. It's filmed on a soundstage, which The Mortal
Mm-hmm.
Remains was also shot on a soundstage. But there's an
Okay.
actress that plays all three of the witches. She's also been in Harry Potter, and she's incredible in it. And it's the same cinematographer as this film.
Hmm.
So it's
I
pretty
can tell you
cool.
one thing. Um. Yeah, I can tell you one. I have too many people who consider themselves um film, you know, nerds almost, or film aficionados, and they don't like black and white. And I love black and white. I mean, it's brilliant. I mean, um, but anytime you mention, maybe they should film it in black and white, they just go like, they just shut down immediately. And I'm like, half the stuff that's really brilliant was filmed in black and white. So I don't know.
Hmm.
I mean, you know, maybe I don't know. There's a generation gap. You know that I think
Yeah, I think it's part of that. A lot of people don't like kind of like the storytelling of older movies.
hmm
But I mean, I don't know. I feel like, sometimes like their restraints made them better filmmakers. And also, you kind of need to see like where something came from. Like, okay, yeah,
absolutely.
you don't think Citizen Kane is the greatest movie ever made. I don't think it's the greatest movie ever made either, but you can't
Well, I
deny
do.
like what it did for filmmaking and like story. Like it's
Yeah.
an important movie. Like cinema
I
existed
mean,
before Jaws and Star Wars or Quentin Tarantino.
yeah. Well, I think even Tarantino would probably agree with us. I
Oh,
mean,
he totally would
I don't
agree
know.
with us.
But yeah,
He's not
yeah.
one to he loves older movies, but yeah, I don't
He
and
worked. He
it's
works in a
either
video store, for God's sake.
all right. Yeah, I think some people it's just their age. They weren't introduced to that stuff when they were younger. So I don't know. It is kind of weird for someone to say they're a film fan or a cinephile, but they're not willing to watch a black and white movie or a movie that's in subtitles. It's like, well, you're kind of missing out on a lot of
Yeah,
good movies by doing that.
yeah. I mean,
So there are some
half of noir. Almost all of noir. I'm
per,
sorry about that. All of
right,
noir
yeah, pretty much all of
is black
noir
and
is
white.
black and
Yeah,
white. Like you like Batman? Well, you got to thank all these great black and white noirs for that.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
they were when Batman first came out, they were filming in black and white. You know, they were like,
yeah.
yeah, Batman. Yeah, let's film it. Even though some of it's pretty crappy, but everything, from Indiana Jones to you know, to almost all the hardboiled detective, things are always filmed in black and white. I don't know. I mean, I just love like Out of the Past. Oh my god, how can you not see that and know what you've got to, what has come before,
Well, I'm so bad about it. Like, I think it's back in the 80s when Ted Turner bought, all those cable stations and did Turner Classic Movies, and he tried to do all the colorizations of old movies. If an older
Yeah,
film is streaming, I'm like, no, I'm watching the black and white version. Like, I'm not watching the colorized version of
yeah,
It's a Wonderful Life.
yeah. It's I don't know if you know, but on HBO, they have HBO Now. You can almost watch almost all of TCM. Almost all,
Mm-hmm.
not all of it. I've just been like watching, and my wife has been say, look, now to you have to go to bed. um, but yeah,
Yeah, they do have a decent library of Turner Classic and Criterion Collection on there.
absolutely.
Yeah, so hopefully with this merger they don't start getting
I
away with all that.
yeah, that would be, yeah. I hope not. Um, I asked my wife to watch Jiu-Jitsu, which is a black and white movie. It's not by Kurosawa, but it's a ghost story, and
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing. Not Jiu-Jitsu.
I've
It,
not seen
oh,
that.
maybe I'll send you a link. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I think
It
I've heard of
it's
it.
it's black and white, and it's brilliant. It's one of the first really foreign films I ever watched, and it's a
Okay.
ghost story. There's a ghost, and it's wow. I don't know how to. I don't want to take up too much time, but it is really amazing. It just really is amazing. Sorry.
Okay. Gotta check it
Um.
out. Is it on
Yeah.
HBO? Cool.
Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah. HBO
Jitsu.
Now. If you've got it. Yeah. Yeah. Jiu-Jitsu.
Um, Something I wanted to bring up just before we get wrapping up. There is references to True
Mm-hmm.
Grit in here. The trapper
Yeah.
guy's telling
Yeah.
the story of the Midnight Caller, and the girl who got rattled.
Yeah.
There's Granny Turner. So it's like a
Yeah.
little.
Yeah. Are you finished, Granny? Granny's finished. Just you know, pick off her plate. But anyway, yeah. I mean, yeah. There is It's really a classic western. It's got the boarding house. It's got the saloon. It's got
It's got the wagon trail
the the
shootout.
wagon trail. It's got penning. It's got gold mining. It's got prospecting.
Hmm.
It's got everything.
Yeah, it's
And it's
got
amazing.
even.
That cattle rustling.
Yeah, cattle
It's got
wrestling. We
bank
got
robbing. Oh, by the
cowboys
way,
and Indians.
in the beginning, yeah. If you slow down, if you stop, I read the one with James Franco, and it begins
Hmm.
just describing the bank, and it says it was the bank owner's wife that said it should be the National Bank of something. I'm trying to remember. And then just a few years later, it put up a sign and notary. It said that, and then I looked and it was like it was hanging right there and notary. But yeah, that was kind of amazing. It was like vignettes, and they're really like pristine and like what they do. And I don't know if you know about a lot about literature. That's the first thing, that landscape equals character. And the Coen brothers are really good at like the first images. The first landscape. It shows you what you need to know, like the bleakness of um, Miller's Crossing, the bleakness of of the Art Thou. It's just amazing, amazing. Sorry.
Yeah, they are very attention to detail. I know they storyboard a lot, so I'm sure they did that with this
Yeah,
movie, especially because of how the illustrations in the book match the scene when we go from the book to the film, like when we go into the world. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And
And
they're
it's
students
like
of literature
I don't
themselves.
absolutely. Yeah, I think so. I mean, amazing. Sorry, I know I say amazing a lot,
No,
but
it's
that's what
fine.
you're
I
looking
mean,
for.
these are truly masters of their craft, and you have expressed in great detail why should be considered one. I mean, it's kind of hard with their movies. I think there's only like two that don't quite really work, but other than that, they're all pretty much great to very good in my opinion. And so,
Hmm.
before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to bring up about this movie that we haven't talked about?
You know, I don't know. I think the end, when they close the book, they literally close the book, and you've got the back cover of the, and it's almost like it's a donkey's butt. you know, uh, I mean, and that's the last thing she sees is this donkey's butt. But anyway, I don't know. Or maybe it's a horse's butt. But anyway, I just think you know that perfection, of how easy they are, and how easy on the eye they are too. Um, it's just really a master. They're masters of their craft. I don't have
Absolutely.
so much more to say. Yeah.
All right, well, let's get to rating this. So I try to come up with creative and interesting ratings for each filmmaker we talk about. So if you love this movie, you think it's a masterpiece, you think it's one of their best movies, we call it a damn fine picture. If you think it's entertaining, it hits the marks, it does what it needs to, it's quirky but delightful. There's also a deep dive rating. That is more for something you feel like it's a cult thing or it's for cinephiles only. It's our Cohen fans only. It's something a little more obscure. If it's mediocre, didn't quite hit up to snuff, we're gonna say it was funny looking. And then if it's terrible, it was just a garbage fire. It just didn't work at all. It's a disaster. The only way to describe that, and is basically what almost every Coen Brothers plot is, a clusterfuck.
I wouldn't say the last one. I definitely.
Of course not.
What's the one? What was the one in the middle where you said a
A,
it's for
a deep dive?
cinephiles? I think.
A deep dive?
Yeah, I think it's a dive. I mean, I
That's a
really. I know that most people would not understand it. But you and I
yeah.
have been watching the Coen Brothers. I think it lives up to Coen Brother hype, and I mean we appreciate it on a different level than most people, Yeah, I think it's a sort
I
of a deep dive.
I think that's a fair rating for it because I do feel like it probably is something strictly for Cohen fans only. I mean, you could say that almost about all their movies, but I do think some of their movies have a little more wider appeal, such as like something like True Grit or Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, or even Fargo and Raising Arizona. Like, there's something there other people might like. Um, yeah, the only thing that doesn't, so I think I'm going to give it a deep dive as well because I do think it's a little more elevated than Quirky but Delightful, but I don't think it's quite in the damn
Mm.
fine picture category. But that's also because they're the Coen brothers and they've got like, you know, arguably 10 to 12 masterpieces in their filmography.
Yeah,
So it's kind of hard to
I
be
think.
like, well, oh,
Yeah, I mean, let's be clear. Um, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is really. I don't think there's. I think that's one of their greats.
oh, I would
It's
agree with
almost
you. I
like
love that
universal all
movie.
the way through. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually
True Grit, I
that's
believe. True Grit was better by with John Wayne, but I don't know. I mean,
okay, so you
that's my
prefer the
opinion.
original?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do. And I appreciate what they did, but I appreciate John Wayne more than anything. Uh, let me see. What's the one? There's weird stuff like Barton Fink. Barton Fink is
Yeah,
really
Barton Fink is
weird.
very weird, but I
Um,
love that one. I think it's one of their best.
yeah, me too. Me too. I think with Thou, it reached a height that they've never. I mean, they've never duplicated.
Mhm.
Maybe. I don't know. That there's a lot. I mean, the Big Lebowski. That's the Coen Brothers, right?
Mhm. That's got a huge cult following.
Yeah, yeah. And the Big Lebowski is got amazing. I think the Big Lebowski is on track with Brother now. So I mean, I don't want to. It's hard to compare one film to another, but
Mhm.
I think the Big Lebowski and Oh Brother, Where Art Thou are probably about like equal. I mean, and the rest you got to be a really really into the Coen Brothers. Even with that Raising Arizona. It's just
Mhm.
you know maybe Fargo. I'm sorry. Didn't
Yeah, I
Fargo win
mean,
Best Picture?
it did not win Best Picture, but it won Best Original Screenplay, and Frances McDormand won her first Oscar. No Country for Old Men won Best Picture. That's the one.
Yeah,
And I guess that
that's right. Oh God.
and I guess that one did have kind of a mainstream success as well. So they've had their
Yeah,
moments where
kind of.
there's people,
Yeah.
but I know people who don't like pretty much all those movies except I pretty much have never ran into anyone that didn't like Oh Brother Where Art Thou. That one seems to be like the one everyone likes.
Yeah. But it definitely has a happy ending. And that's one of the things
And
that,
that
you know,
that
for
that
popular
might be part
success,
of it
I don't
because
know.
because a lot of their movies do not have happy endings. So,
Yeah. Like,
or even if they do,
Fargo,
they're very
no.
bittersweet. And Fargo
Yeah.
has a
I have
happy
all
ending
written
for
on
the
the
good
shelf, but
people.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I have William Goldman's Which Lie Did I Tell? And he talks a lot about Fargo.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, when Francis McDormand, like he follows he writes a lot about that, and he talks about because Frances McDormand is in danger, and she is so likable. He talks a lot about that. That's one thing that he said that they did well, But he absolutely loves Big Lebowski. But he says the Big Lebowski has a problem because John Goodman talks a lot about the bowling tournament. The bowling tournament keeps talking about the bowling tournament, and John Turturro is like, "What are you gonna do? You just don't care about the Sabbath." But and he says, William Goldman says the bowling tournament never happens, and that's the problem because one, there's so much build up to that, and when it comes, it doesn't come. And he says, I'm going to tell you, I want to see John Goodman kick John Turturro's ass, but it never comes. But he talks a lot about that, and talks about Fargo, and he talks about Oh Brother. Yeah,
Oh
and
wow. Well,
I love that. I'll I'll have to send you that about the Big Lebowski. He says that's the one problem I have with it is the tournament never comes, and I want to see that so bad.
that's high praise from William Goldman. I
Anyway,
mean,
what I remember.
well, James,
Ah,
thank you.
oh well. I don't know if we can say it, but come on. I mean, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so
I
much
really
for
enjoyed
coming
it. Thank
on.
you very much.
I'm glad you
Thank you.
did. Thank you so
Maybe
much for coming on.
absolutely.
Um, I'm glad you enjoy Coen Brothers of as much as me, if not more. And I loved your passionate discussion about this movie that probably doesn't get discussed as much as their other films. Partly because it's only 4 years old, and partly because of their massive filmography. But this film does deserve to be talked about. So I appreciate you coming on and talking about it with me today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
And before I let you go, is there anything you want to plug or anything?
Um, keep watching movies. Keep watching movies.
Watch
Keep
movies. Yeah.
discussing them.
All right. Well, you have a wonderful weekend. If you're off tomorrow, enjoy your extended weekend. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.